The Kedarnath Valley in India is one of the most challenging aviation environments in the world. À altitude, naropas seconds. On the morning of June 15, 2025, a Bell 407 helicopter, registration VT-BKA, took off on a routine shuttle mission. It was carrying 6 pilgrims and 1 pilot. At 5:35 a.m., the helicopter vanished from the sky near Gaurikund. The subsequent investigation revealed a chain of events involving weather blindness, pilot experience, and a fatal decision made in a split second. This is the story of VT-BKA's final flight. The day began early at the Aviation helipad in Govt. The pilot arrived at 4:30 a.m. He checked the valley, weather via CCTV feeds, and determined it was safe to fly. He took off at 5:10 a.m., landing uneventfully at Kedarnath just 10 minutes later. He dropped off his first group of passengers and boarded 6 new ones for the return trip. VT-BKA was the first helicopter to leave Kedarnath that morning. Trailing behind him were 2 other helicopters from a different operator. They were flying in a sequence. Standard operating procedures, or SOPs, require pilots to exit the valley at 9,000 feet. The pilot of VT-BKA climbed to this altitude exactly as trained. But as he approached the valley exit, the weather shifted dramatically. A pilot in the 3rd helicopter later testified that the pilot of VT-BKA radioed a final warning. "I can see clouds at the exit point." Then, seconds later, his final words came through the static, "Cannot see anything, turning." That was the last transmission. There was no distress call. The helicopter impacted the mountain terrain at an elevation of 9,051 feet. Just 5.6 nautical miles from the helipad. The impact was catastrophic. The aircraft caught fire, destroying the cockpit and cabin. All 7 souls on board were fatally injured. Investigators from the AAIB and Bell helicopters analyzed the wreckage. They found the tail boom fractured and the control pedals separated. But, crucially, they determined this was all consequential damage from the crash itself. The chip detectors were clean. The oil was normal. There was no evidence of mechanical failure before the helicopter hit the mountain. So, if the machine was working perfectly, what went wrong? The interim report points to 2 critical factors: the environment and the pilot's experience. First, the weather data. The Kedarnath Valley has no official Met station. Pilots rely on an automated weather instrument and surprisingly WhatsApp updates from ground staff. On the morning of the accident, the crucial weather report was not shared in the group before the first flight. The pilot was flying based on his own visual check from much earlier that morning. Investigators recovered CCTV footage that showed a deadly trap forming. While the valley looked clear initially from the helipad, the exit point was being covered by clouds moving downwards. The 2 helicopters flying behind VT-BKA saw these clouds, instead of maintaining 9,000 feet. They made a critical decision to exit at a lower altitude, staying visual with the ground. But VT-BKA, sticking to the standard operating procedure, flew right into the whiteout. This brings us to the second factor: experience. The pilot was seasoned, with over 2,000 hours of flight time. But he had 0 prior experience flying in the treacherous Kedarnath Valley before that season, which had started only in May 2025, less than 2 months before the accident. The pilots behind him, who made the life-saving deviation, had flown in this specific valley for years. They knew its tricks. In aviation, regulations are often written in tragedy. Following this accident,